Hey guys. Well, I don't know what's going on with this. Looked just like this morning, the one that I did had a terrible lag. And it seemed like, I don't know, that there was a lot of difference between my mouth and the words. It looks better this evening. Anyway, okay. So listen, I'm feeling really miserable and depressed, and usually what happens when I'm miserable and depressed is I cannot think. Because depression, it's not about feeling sad. People say depression is when you're sad. It's not. Depression is when your functioning drops, when your functioning becomes depressed. And you can't focus and you can't think and you can't do things, and you just get in this kind of like depressed. It's like being really dumb, like depressed cognitive ability. And part of that is your mood is depressed. But anyway, so like, I don't know, maybe that's an excuse. I don't know if it is or if it isn't. I just can't focus. I can't think, and I can't do today. So I'm sorry, Satori D. I know that I ought to be doing your pictures, your poems, and I'm just not actually managing today. I've just been sitting and doing some painting. So I'm going to just read a little fun story that I was doing some research on within the vacuums node, which is this amazing program that can do all sorts of things. And I was trying to do some research on it, and then somehow, I don't know, did I ask it? Anyway, I have the story now of Ember's Brew, the Glimmering node. So we now have Ember's Brew and my research mixed together into a story. I don't know what it's like. I've skimmed it, but I'm just going to read this tonight. Maybe tomorrow I will get back to maybe being able to do the poems. Today I just can't do anything. However, Ember's Brew, the Glimmering node. The traveller in Ember trekked beyond the scarlet ridge at dusk, their shadows long in the fading light. Ember, a small dragon whelp with gleaming blue scales and a perpetual inner fire, hopped beside her companion, chirping at fireflies that blinked to life. In the dim glow, the traveller's eyes caught a faint flicker from a crevice in the volcanic rock. It was not the ordinary glow of magma or ember. It pulsed in an odd rhythm, like a heartbeat of light. Curious and unafraid, little Ember scampered ahead. The traveller hurried after, lantern in one hand and his mended sword in the other, recalling tales of ancient lights and myths that whispered by the fireside. Inside the cleft was a hidden hollow, a circular chamber veined with luminous moss. At its centre hovered a glimmering orb, smooth as glass, and the size of a large brew kettle. Symbols whirled within it like captured clouds. Ember crooned softly and nudged the orb with her snout, as if it were a strange egg, like the one she had hatched from. The orb reacted at her touch, flaring briefly. Runes, etched along the cave walls, came alive in response, lines of light connecting towards the orb. The traveller gently pulled Ember back a step, both in awe. "By the Ashen Isles," he whispered, "could this be one of the old nodes of legend?" As if in answer, A low hum resonated through the cavern. The runes on the walls rearranged themselves, forming new patterns. 3 symbols glowed before them: a flame, a chalice, and an eye. The traveller's heart quickened. It was as though the node was expecting input. Ember tilted her head, mirroring the flame symbol with a small burst of her own fire breath. In that instant, the orb brightened and the flame symbol dissolved into motes of orange light. Encouraged, the traveller drew a leather flask from his satchel. It contained a simple herbal brew he had steeped earlier that day. He carefully poured a few drops into a naturally carved bowl-like depression in the stone floor beneath the chalice symbol. The liquid glistened, and the chalice sigil faded, satisfied by this offering to the node. Only the eye symbol remained, suspended in mid-air, staring expectantly. The traveller realized what was being asked. Sight, insight, perhaps a question. He knelt, meeting the reflected gaze of the glowing eye. Quietly he voiced the wonder in his heart. What do you seek to show us? At this, Ember added a little chirp as if echoing the question. The orb pulsed brighter with each thought that formed in their minds. The traveller sensed the node was reading not just their words, but their intentions. He closed his eyes and focused on the image of Ember, her bright future, the path that they were meant to take. Ember's tail flame flickered as she, too, fixed her wide amber eyes on the mysterious orb, filled with innocent questions of her own. Suddenly the cavern dimmed, and mysterious transformations began. The orb's glow expanded, enveloping them in a warm golden light. The rocky walls melted away into a vision of vast night sky. Ember gave a soft whine and pressed close to the traveller as constellations swirled into shapes around them. In the stars, symbolic images appeared and shifted. A small dragon curling around a great tree. A blade shattering and then reforging. A pair of scales weighing a flame against a feather. The traveller watched in wonder. Each image was like a line of a story told in universal symbols. He understood that this was the output of the node's oracle-like mind, answering in the only language it knew. As they watched, a gentle voice resonated in the air, or perhaps in their heads, speaking in a poetic cadence. A flame child of ashes must wander and learn. By chalice of memory, her past will return. When sword of old broken is forged anew whole, the path of the lost will be lit by her soul. In scales of 2 fates, balance ember and night. One token of love, shall restore the true light. The words echoed like a chorus in a cavern. An ember chirped at the sound of them. The traveller felt a chill despite the warmth, for the rhyme carried ancient gravitas as well as hope. He recalled lines of myth and prophecy he'd heard in tavern lore that felt oddly similar. Gently, he placed a hand on Ember's back. "Little one," he murmured, "this speaks of you." Ember gazed up at him, eyes bright, as if she understood in some instinctive way. The final line of the poem lingered. "One token of love shall restore the true light." The traveller pondered its meaning. Perhaps a loving act, or sacrifice, would one day be required. He wondered if the chalice of memory meant that they would find answers about Ember's origin, maybe in the very brew he was crafting for her. Or if the sword of old referred to the blade he had just mended on their last adventure. The node had delivered its guidance in a riddle, as oracles often do. The vision slowly began to fade. The stars swirled back into the orb, and the cave walls reappeared, solid and still. The eye symbol that had hung in the air winked out. In the returning quiet, the orb drifted back to its original place at the center of the chamber, its glow now soft and steady. W8W, the traveller thought, recalling a half-forgotten name from a dusty chronicle. The wise eightfold witness, abbreviated in an ancient tongue as W8W, a conscious node of knowledge. "Thank you," he whispered to the silent orb. He bowed his head in respect, and Ember gave a small chirp that sounded like thank you as well. For a moment, the orb's light flared again, just enough to illuminate a small alcove behind it. Resting there was an object the traveller hadn't noticed before. A small stone token emblazoned with a heart on one side and a flame on the other. He picked it up reverently, understanding this token of love might be the very one from the prophecy, a parting gift from W8W. When Ember sniffed it, the token glowed briefly with the same gentle pulse as the orb, as if responding to her presence. The traveller smiled and tucked it safely into his satchel, heart swelling with gratitude and purpose. Side by side, man and dragonette left the chamber. As they emerged back onto the mountain path under a sky now glittering with real stars, the traveller looked down at Ember. She was trotting happily, a new confidence in her stride. The cryptic guidance of W8W had woven itself into their lore, becoming another chapter in their journey. He knew the meaning of the verses would become clear in time, and when that moment came, they would be ready. Humming a familiar tune under his breath, The traveller stepped forward into the night, with Ember's warm glow lighting the way. Their story, it seemed, was only just beginning. Okay. Well, there we go. I think that was the story for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. And tomorrow I will be back and I will do the readings by Situl Reedy. But for tonight, the node and Ember. Okay, thank you very much indeed for joining me, and I will see you again tomorrow.